Welcome back. It's halftime of our greatest games as Nebraska taking on Kansas State, part of that 1994 magical season for the Cornhuskers. And as we have throughout the fall, a chance to catch up with University of Nebraska President Ted Carter. And Ted, we're playing at greatest games today instead of the Huskers facing the Wisconsin Badgers. I know it had to be disappointing to get that news earlier this week.
Yeah, it sure was disappointing. It's disappointing for Husker fans. I know it's disappointing for our athletes, our football players, our administration. And it was the military appreciation game, you know, a chance to highlight the great work that our students that are coming from the military or active duty, those that have served. So disappointing across the whole network. But as you and I both know, the virus is real. It's around us. It's disappointing, but if we're going to, at the end of the day, protect our athletes, it's a hard one to argue. And I wish we had played earlier with the Big Ten, so we would have had some options to fill in for a bye week. That's another challenge that we just don't have the ability to come back to. So it's there's just no good answer to it, and I'm as disappointed as anyone.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the students on your campuses right now. So many of them are taking advantage of some financial aid that has been offered out there. You've come up with some creative ways to help that as well. What can you tell us about financial aid that is available to students at the university?
Well, Greg, I appreciate you letting me talk about that because coming up here on the first of the next month here, the federal aid, FAFSA, FAFSA, financial aid for students will open up, and I encourage students to take a look at that because sometimes when you look at the price tag to attend a world-class university like the Huskers, UNL, the cost of attendance could be a little overwhelming for some people when you look at that price tag. But there are so many options available to our students. Well over half our students are using some portion of federal aid. So that program opens up, and I really encourage our students to take a look at that. There's a pathway to find a seat at one of our university campuses.
Particularly all those prospective students that are looking at the university, this is the time to take care and get all that buttoned up. I talked about how you've made a lot of different efforts in your short time as the president of the university to help people get through and make sure that they can fund and not pile up a bunch of debt throughout their college days. One of those programs is Nebraska Promise. Fill everybody in about what Nebraska Promise entails.
Yeah, as many of the fans may know, we opened that up last spring, at the height of COVID-19. And over the course of the summer going into the fall enrollment, we had over 7,000 Nebraskan students apply for that program. Just fantastic reaction, and I know we'll see that again this next year. That's a program that isn't designed just for COVID-19. It's going to be long-lasting. It's a chance to create opportunities for Nebraskans whose household income is $60,000 or less adjusted gross income. So I encourage Nebraskan students to take a look at that. But there are also many other things that we're doing to reduce overall student debt. The fact that we now have 4 legitimate semesters of which you can be enrolled in classes, whether it be online classes in the winter and summer, intersessionals, of course, and our longer semesters in the fall and spring. That academic adjustment for the calendar has really opened up some opportunities for students to be able to finish in 4 years or less, which will reduce student debt. So we're excited about this opportunity to reduce student debt as much as we can across all of our campuses.
Very good. Well, President, thank you so much for spending some of your time with us. Hopefully we're back with the 2020 Cornhuskers next week when they travel to Evanston to take on Northwestern. Have a good week.
All right. Thank you, Greg.
President Ted Carter with us here at halftime of our greatest games. We have more coming up next.